God, I just really want to wait until my little clock says 6 o'clock. I suppose it doesn't hurt.
Oh,
It
I didn't
is
even look at the clock.
tick, 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 tick. No, that's fine. We can go ahead and start. This is it's April 8th, 2025. Um, not quite 6 o'clock. Oh, there it is, 6 o'clock. Thank God. This is a meeting of the Norwalk Conservation Commission and Inland Wetland Agency. Could we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Steve Clocky,
I'm here.
Paul Bennett,
Here.
Ed Holinko, Cheryl Brown, here, Matt Pence.
Here.
Okay, so it looks like you have five, which is a quorum. And I suspect there'll be some stragglers coming in.
Okay. And I believe Mr. Pence needs to leave us early at 7 o'clock, but maybe we'll be done by then. Okay, moving on. Do we have anyone online for public participation?
No, you do not.
Wonderful. Moving on then.
Diana Rowley, I'm here. I don't know.
Yeah, you're on the agenda.
Okay, I didn't know if I was speaking up yet.
Yeah, no, Will, you are, I think, second on the agenda.
And Catherine Knight is joining us at 6:01. Hi, Catherine. Receipt and discussion for S25-653 70 Toilsome Avenue.
No, just note that Heather is here as well.
And Heather Breslin joined also at 6:01.
All right, so Toilsome Avenue, I'll just start with a quick overview to get you in the right location, and then I'll pass it on to the applicant or representative. So this is the subject property here. So we're in the eastern part of the city. 7 is just off the screen. Merritt Parkway, we've got West Rocks Road going north-south, East Rocks Road, and then there's Toilsome. At the end of Toilsome on Allen is the Senior Center. Stony Brook flows in the back, or I think it's actually a tributary of Stony Brook, not actually Stony Brook, flows in the backyard of this property, which kind of makes its meandering way south and north and over to eventually the Saugatuck estuary. The lot is currently vacant. It's a rear lot, and so there's the stream there. There's a small little portion of wetlands in the rear, and otherwise you're looking at upland review area and areas outside of your purview. So that's where the property is located, and I'll stop sharing and invite the applicant's team to just review the proposed activity, which, as noted on the agenda, is construction of a new residence.
Good evening. My name is Jim Casides with Casides Engineering. I thought, Alexis, you were going to finish the presentation the way you started, but
oh, sorry, I start strong, but then I taper off real quick.
Very helpful. Thank you. I hope so, Jim. So we are the site engineers for the project. We did the site development plan for the owners here at 70 Toilsome Avenue. I'm just going to briefly go over what we are proposing on site, since we talked about the lot, the location of it, where the brook is back in this very corner. The wetlands were flagged. I guess there wasn't another flag to connect to close out through the back, but this is the one triangle back here that the wetlands are on our property. We are showing the 50-foot setback here, apparently incorrectly, so we will update the plan to show the 100-foot setback that is basically through the garage in this area, somewhere up in this area. So this is a flag lot, a long entry to the property. This is a 10-foot wide driveway. There is a high point right in this area. It's a natural high point of this area where the west side, the left side of this drains towards the street. We have proposed a pair of catch basins to connect to a subsurface drainage system. And then from the high point, drain back into these two catch basins, and then a fifth catch basin back in this area. So the entire driveway is being collected by these two subsurface drainage systems, one here and one here. So obviously this system is going to end up being within the 100-foot wetland review area, but none of the surface of the driveway, which produces most of the pollutants, will be draining off directly towards the wetlands. The residence is somewhat oddly shaped. It's the new zoning regulations that pinch this property in. It's odd shaped somewhat. So anyway, the designer, I thought, did a good job designing the house, but this is what the layout ends up being. The garage is out here. This roof area is also being connected to the subsurface drainage system. So no hard surfaces are being directed towards the wetlands. The property is fairly flat. We are maintaining the drainage and grading patterns of how it is today. We are not increasing the slopes much, just some grading around the house just to get some positive pitch around away from the foundation. We are proposing a stockpile area to be at the far side of the wetlands, so there's no impacts to the wetlands from the stockpile area. Like I said, the area is flat, so we are proposing silt fence around all the disturbed areas, a tracking pad getting onto the property. And we are not showing any activity within 50 feet of the wetlands. I know that Alexa just forwarded me her staff report, and it mentions in there that you may be possibly looking for some kind of a buffer planting plan. I think that's up to the commission, but I think we can work with staff to come up with something that will be effective and not encroach too far onto any recreation area on this lot. With that said, I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I'm here to answer any of your questions.
Okay, thank you. Is that the extent of the applicant's presentation? Should I open
Yes,
it up to commissioners for questions?
Would you like me to take down the share, or would you like me to
No,
leave them
actually, leave it up if you don't mind and zoom in for us on, let's say the top half. And just for the record, I'm going to state that the property owner's social circles and mine overlap. I do not think there's any conflict of interest or bias. But we're getting that on the record. Hi, John. Can you zoom in a little bit more, actually, Mr. Koutsoutis?
Sure. Oh, yep.
So could you clarify what's happening for landscaping between the house and the wetlands? Or is this
right
just,
now,
this isn't a landscape design, this is just a drainage design?
this is a site development design, correct? There is no landscape plan associated with the application as far as I know.
Okay.
But looking at aerials and walking the property, it looks like there's a natural 10-foot or so, maybe 15-foot of natural buffer area right now between the wetlands and any disturbance upland from that. So I think we can either enhance that area or just leave it alone and not encroach it. Maybe plan something a little more not robust, but something more permanent in front of it and just leaving it alone in the back there. But that's something I guess we're here to listen and discuss with you.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. Just to get a conversation started, we can't, obviously, we're not making any decisions tonight. It's just starting the conversation. So the commission's expectations are clear and limitations. The 100-foot upland review area is just that, a review area. It's up to the commission to decide on, based on the information presented to us, what the proposed development will have for an impact. I will say that historically, this agency has typically ask for physical demarcation between, actively landscaped areas and areas that are meant to not be touched, essentially, for the sake of maintaining a buffer, if you will, between, affected areas and the wetland itself. So I'll just throw that out there. So, turf as close as you can to those wetland flags is typically not going to be responded to favorably by the commission. But there's a lot of different ways to demarcate between what is, manicured site and what is to be left natural. So that's just something to get you started. Other commissioners, can you want to chime in if you have initial thoughts here, without obviously having the benefit of proposed landscaping at this time?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful to have a proposed landscaping because we've found, obviously filtration is really important, and having why we wanted to plant a naturally indigenous planted buffer is it helps filter water, capture sediment before, it best protects the wetlands and the water course. So seeing something of where, what demarcates like active landscaping and more of a natural buffer would be helpful. And also just the plantings for the buffer area, restoration of the buffer area, to the extent, because it looked a little bit denuded from the overhead pictures that we saw.
On that note, thank you, Catherine. On that note, are there any existing trees that would be taken down or come close to
No.
the, no? Okay, great.
If you were on the site, it's an area of the property that's, how do I say it? Kind of remote and not really oriented towards the house. It's an area of property that's, not significant to the enjoyment of the backyard. It's not a place that I want to spend time or put down sod and sprinklers.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, who else was?
I had a question. I see some of these draining systems. What is off the driveway in that space? You have 112 LF of Coltec R330. Can you explain that?
Yes, those are, that is a subsurface drainage system. They are plastic units. Think of it as a large pipe cut in half, placed in the ground. I think we have a detail here on the plan. And they're all, so this is one row of it. If you think of this on multiple rows, and here, the stone goes around it. And these darker lines are basically perforations in this plastic chamber to allow the water to exit the chamber and basically infiltrate and exfiltrate through the stone and into the surrounding soils.
Jim, on the site plan, I think that there's two systems proposed in the back. So there's one that has 112 linear feet and then a small one that's 114. Could you just explain why there are two? What's the difference between the two?
Sure. The bigger one collects the roof area and part of the driveway. The small one here, the 2 units here, that is a system that will collect any water that's being pumped from the sump pump. And that's why it's so much smaller.
So that's a good leading question, Alexis. So my follow-up question would be, does it need to be there? And actually, maybe even it should be closer to the sump pit, just for the sake of shorter distance? Or is there a reason that it's so far back there? Because what we're talking about is disturbance, right? So at some point we'll need to talk about, this temporary silt fence. Is this an official line between disturbed area and not? And we'd want to obviously minimize how much of that upland review area is getting disturbed.
I will tell you, and I'll be honest with you, that silt fence is at the 50-foot setback line, because we thought it was a 50-foot setback. We were trying not to come in front of you. But obviously with the 100-foot upland review area, we cannot. I would think that permanently that silt fence will move a little closer to the wetlands, but not that much closer. But so as far down the disturbance will go, again, that's not for me to determine where this line is, but these chambers can move a little closer to the wetlands, but we were just trying to keep that buffer of
Can they be
actual.
entirely on the other side of the house?
Yes, what happens with the footing drain system is
Mhm.
that it could, the footing drain could pump 2 days after a storm.
Yep.
Where everything is dry, and then you have a little bit of flow coming out of the system, and if it flows towards a neighbor, then because they can see the water, then that's where the problems become. If it drains through, and especially if there's a buffer area, this was our thinking, especially if there's a buffer area between the wetlands and the lawn, it gives it an extra chance to infiltrate before it enters the brook.
Mhm.
So that was the thinking of placing it in this area.
Okay, we're just asking questions, not trying to redo your design entirely.
That's fine. I'm here to answer your questions.
Commissioners, do we, have any questions, reservations? I mean, how do we feel about if the roof water is controlled to subterranean, infiltration? Do we have any feelings about it being within that 100-foot upland review area? Same for the driveway. It seems to be pretty well thought out, but it's something we should talk about as early as possible so we don't surprise anybody down the road by springing it on them at the last minute.
Yeah, I think that's why looking at some of the planting plans to just have that filtration would be, that extra buffer would be really helpful.
Okay.
The
So we don't
plant-
feel so strongly about the built structure as much as we would hope to see both disturbance minimized between the house and the wetland, and also have that area landscaped and demarcated in a way that will prevent, further disturbance. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, if you anticipate that, there would be running water or like 2 days after a major storm event, just to throw it out there, that trees are really helpful and, they're thirsty drinkers of water. So that would help.
Well, but also, Jim, do you want trees anywhere near
buffer.
these Coltech?
Well,
Gutters?
I'm just saying like down, if it's running down toward the brook, you don't have to have it right next to it, but you can still have it
Mhm.
down.
Mhm.
So it sounds
We
like
can-
the agency is saying that they'd like to, before they make a decision on the application, they'd like to see a landscaping plan that has a defined limit of lawn, and then where that lawn ends, have a enhancement of the area between the lawn and the start of the wetland. And so if you want to, you can give me a call and or you can even we can make an arrangement to meet in the office, and I can show you some past landscaping plans and kind of the densities and types of plants that I will presume the agency members are talking about.
Are you looking for specifically just within the 100-foot review? You're not, you're not
what-
asking about landscaping plans for the rest of the property, just within the 100 feet?
Right, right. And specifically, I think that they're looking for, so I don't hear any real concerns with the proposed building envelope and that limit of disturbance where the silt fence is proposed 50 feet from the wetlands. But what I do hear is that the 50 feet between adjacent to the wetlands should be not just kind of left.
First 50 feet, is that what?
Yep.
Can I come by
There's
your
some kind
office
of-
in the week and follow up with you?
Yep, so I'm here tomorrow in the afternoon, all day Thursday, and all next week. So just email and we'll sort out a time.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Please include us in that email.
100%.
Commissioner Knight?
Just one quick question about the gravel driveway. I think that's great. Just, when it comes to the plowing as well as just catching the runoff of the gravel, like in a major storm event, like flowing, just, interested in what the edging is and kind of the snow removal plan.
Okay.
You want to
I think-
address that, John, or you want me to?
I mean, my intention is to put a steel edge around the gravel driveway. Yeah,
I think,
I
I think
have a
that,
truck. I don't really know that I'll be plowing it. But even if I did, I don't think the gravel would go more than 1 or 2 feet into the grass on the outside of the edge of the driveway. But that's what my intentions are.
I think this is sometimes more so of a concern when it's all paved and we know that there's going to be salt and things like that put down, and
Yeah, I do not want asphalt. I don't like the aesthetic of it. I asked for asphalt just on the straight path down the driveway from the road, but before that turns, I would like it to be gravel.
Yeah, we like the permeable surfaces. That's great.
Me too.
okay. If no other commissioners have questions for the applicant, we'll thank them for their time and be ready to, depending on how you feel, like Alexis, our next meeting is in 2 weeks, right? So 22nd.
Is
If you have a site plan, an updated site plan that you think will be favorable to the commissioners, drafting a resolution would be something to consider, I guess.
good.
But that's up to you.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you. Okay, moving on to enforcement actions, V25-1080, 12 Riverwalk Lane.
Okay, so this is a show cause hearing. Make sure, oh, yep, there she is. So so just wanted to go over how a show cause hearing works. So whenever a order has been issued by staff, state statute requires that within 10 days of issuance that there be a show cause hearing by the agency to provide an opportunity for the respondent, the person that receives the enforcement order, to show cause or to show the inland wetland agency why there's not a violation of the inland wetland regulations. And so the format is that I will show the commission kind of the background of why the initial notice of violation and then the order were issued, show them the site photos, maps, aerial photos, and then the agency will turn it over to you, and you can provide any information that you would like. And I did receive when I got back to my desk your email, so I can show that email that you emailed me when you were speaking with your photographs. So let's see. A notice violation was issued on March 27th, 2005 to the owner of 12 Riverwalk Lane. And that
Wait, I'm sorry,
was-
2005 or 2020?
I'm sorry, 2025. My apologies. It's feels like I've lived a couple decades today, although that wouldn't explain my math. In 2025, this current year. And the order cites the clearing of a naturally vegetated buffer and wetland area that has been repurposed as lawn. And after speaking with the respondent who responded to that notice of violation and came into the office to speak to me. That's when I determined that she would benefit from the opportunity to be in front of you. So then a order was issued on April 2nd, 2025, citing the same activities. And I'll get back to the order and what the directives are contained with it in a second. Screen. Go to. So Riverwalk Lane is off of West Norwalk Road. And scroll out a little bit. Here's. Sorry, my computer is slow. Here is West Norwalk Road. The city boundary is approximately here. So on this side is Darien, and this is Norwalk. So we've got Richards Ave and the community center up here. Route 1 is down here. The soon-to-be Target is here. And so Riverwalk is a cul-de-sac off of West Norwalk Road. And number 12 is at the very end of that cul-de-sac. In the back is the 5 Mile River. And we issued the violation when we noticed during a site visit at an adjacent property that the designated wetland buffer in the rear yard was being maintained as lawn. This house at number 12 was constructed in 2002 and under a 2002 wetland permit. That wetland permit allowed for the construction of a house, but in return it conditioned the establishment of a designated wetland buffer that was demarcated with a boulder row. And this is the boulder row here. Just switch to actually I have these. I'll switch to what I sent you. So this is the river, is the dark area. This is the boulder row. There remain some shade trees right along the river's edge. This is an aerial photo from 2024. This is an aerial photo from March 2021. Sorry about that. In March 2021, and I'll go back to the app so I can zoom in, but you can see that the area was being fine graded at that point. The bottom photos are from prior to the activity and prior to the current owner's ownership. So this is in March 2020. Again, the river and the wall, the boulder row is kind of in the shadow of the house, but it is here. And you can see again the shade trees that are for the most part still there. And then some kind of shrubby things along the end. This is a September 2019, again, further back photograph. And this is the vegetation that I assert was previously there, but has since been cleared. And there is now lawn from the boulder row down to the river's edge. These are just the same app program, but using an oblique view, so it's a slightly different view kind of from the side. This is looking at the front of the house. This is number 12 here. And it's this area here that is now lawn. This is a 2024 March photograph. On the right is March 2022 photograph. The current property owner purchased the house in early January 2021. And so it's this bright green area here. This is March 2021, where the initial clearing and kind of the establishment of lawn appears to have occurred. And then this is September 2019, where again, you can start to see above the roof line what had been some shrubs in the back. These are site photographs taken from the property to the immediate south, which were there for proposed declaratory ruling to do work within the upland review area and the wetland area. And so this is looking in the backyard of number 12. This is the boulder row, and then this is the lawn area down to the river. The boulder row is just cut off. It's behind in the view of this photograph, but it again shows the very level rear lawn area that is there now, with some river rocks that have been deposited along the edge. Here's another view looking upstream along the 5 Mile River. And again, the lawn and then the gravel and river rocks deposited up to the river's edge. And finally, just one last view of the boulder demarcation. It looks like there are some small plants planted along here, but then it begins the lawn down to the river. The wetland, there is wetland area in this portion of the lawn. So there's the river riparian wetlands and then the required buffer. This is the site plan that was approved in 2002. So the river is in blue, the wetland is in green. So there's approximately a 10-foot to closer to 35-foot wide wetland strip. 40 feet off of the wetland line is where the boulder demarcation was proposed, and the applicant had to plant 21 shrubs along that limit. So it showed the tree canopy line at the time. So the tree canopy line roughly paralleled the wetland line, and then this center area had been cleared historically a long time ago. And what was approved was that they would enhance the buffer edge here and let this be natural, and then go into the area where there had been trees. And some of those trees are shown here. This is the final as-built survey that again confirms that the boulder row was installed, and the note indicating that the boulder line is the demarcation of the start of a buffer for the wetland between the lawn, which ends at the boulder line, to the wetland, and then the wetland would remain undisturbed. That was a condition of the 2002 permit. Which required, as you do today, that there be demarcation boulders placed, and that the applicant show or have recorded on the land records a note that the buffer area has to be maintained in perpetuity. And I will note that the deed of the current owner does include a note referring to the 2002 permit, and it includes the requirement to maintain the designated buffer in perpetuity. So it was based on all of those items that I just indicated that we determined that the buffer is being maintained in a way that is in non-compliance with the terms of that 2002 permit, and we issued a violation. And then the last thing I'm going to show, again, I was out there in 2002. I was actually the one that signed off on the initial implementation of the planting plan for the permit. And then I had been out there other times for meeting either neighbor, although they're different neighbors than are currently there. And it was, I don't unfortunately have photographs of the backyard, but it was a naturally vegetated buffer. Second, I just have to switch what I. Okay, so this is from the listing of the property from Redfin, from when it was still for sale. This is the early 2021 listing. So this is the rear deck, and you can kind of get a sense of the vegetation immediately adjacent to the deck. And I think that's about all.
Okay, thank you, Lexus. I'll open up the floor to Ms. Rowley if she's ready.
Hi, yep. So when I purchased the house, and if you could just show them that picture that I sent you, when I purchased the house, there wasn't anything, there was, you're saying like that I cleared the land, but the land was clear. I did plant grass seed though. Not realizing that wasn't allowed. The neighbor has some, he has seed in his yard. I just thought that was, I think that's the picture. Can you bring it up?
Yeah, I'm trying to make it smaller.
So this picture is December 28th of what? No, it would have been 2020. Yeah, there's the dates on the top. And I think I closed January 14th of 21. So there was nothing, there's no tree line there. And from the pictures you showed me, those area views, it does look like everything's gone. It looks exactly brown like that. And in one of the pictures that I mentioned in the email, the river's dry. So I looked back to see why that river looked dry and everything's gone. And it looks like there was a drought in, what did I say, 2020? I gotta look. That there's, in 2020, there was, looking up, yes, it says that, there it is, thank you, a drought. So I'm assuming maybe that's why everything died, the river dried up, all the plants. I really can't answer for that. I was not here. The yard does, when we get a bad storm, as you can see in that picture, floods. I have lost a lot of trees because of this. They're all rotted, and they're falling. Today, we're expecting, with the winds, actually the winds look like they died down, but there is another tree ready to fall. It's all rotted.
Yowza.
I'm sorry.
I said yowza.
Yeah. So while we're speaking about that tree that's going to fall anytime soon, am I to now understand when the tree goes down, just leave it?
Let's-
Right. So as we discussed, there's, so the wetland agency does not, if a tree falls, the wetland agency does not require you to remove it. The Public Works Department may require you to remove it if one of your trees has fallen into the river and is damming up the river. Correct.
I have made calls in the past, but nobody seems to answer or get back to you. It just seems like you don't get an answer.
I would recommend calling the customer service line if you're seeking like a work order from the Public Works Department.
Ms. Rowley, do you mind if I let Commissioner Knight ask her question?
Yes.
Yeah, I just have a question. So the picture that you're showing us, you're saying was taken, who took that picture?
I did.
When did you take it?
So December 28th of 2020. I believe probably that's the day we did the inspection. I'm guessing, because I didn't own the house at that point, but I have pictures that I took. So I think we did the inspection that day, and I took pictures throughout the house and outside.
And were the trees cut down as well at that point, or that we saw the tree trunks?
Oh, no, those trees, you're talking on the river.
Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, look,
No, those-
Alexis, I'm not quite clear, like whether, I think that would be something as to,
Those-
who did the violation, but it seems quite clear in terms of what the permit was that the previous owner shouldn't have done that, and that should have flagged up by the lawyers doing the closing in terms of like a pre-existing violation. So that's something that you'd need to raise with the lawyers that did your closing, because it's in the deed in terms of how that should have looked. So to the extent that the property was in violation of a deeded restriction on the property, that should have flagged up at closing. So I think, we're not here to say who specifically is to blame. I mean, I think that's a mess that, on the back end, you're going to have to deal with your lawyers and the previous owner. But it seems quite clear that there's a violation here. And our intention and function is in terms of the interests and protection of the wetlands. And, that
Our hands
Right.
are tied to a certain degree.
our
Ms.
hands are
Rowley.
tied. I mean, it's
It's-
quite clear in black and white as to what was supposed to be happening in that area.
And then we realize, just in case it's not clear enough, we realize that is a bum deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand. So
So,
I have like the picture, or I don't know if Alexa sent it to me or whatever. So the site plans of what it was for the house. So
Mhm.
does that need to just be restored to what it was, what that plan says?
in 2002, pretty much.
Okay. So do you have that?
You'd be
Alexa.
better off too for flooding, just in terms of like, water motion, a better storm runoff absorption, et cetera, to have more root structure than lawn. Lawn's not going to help much with the flooding.
So do you have the site plans?
Um,
Can you go back to that?
yes.
Yes. So am I correct? I see up at the top what was supposed to be there.
So, right, so at the time, this area from this squiggly line indicating the existing tree line at the time, this area within the wetland and some buffer area adjacent to the wetland was very completely undisturbed. This area had been previously disturbed, presumably with some public improvements. There's a sanitary easement that bisects the property. And then the applicant that had proposed the house added these plants. So it's not just a line of plants. I would say that the agency, I mean, we're kind of getting ahead, but I would say that the agency is probably looking for a restoration of the area from the edge of the river to the boulder row, not just a replication of this plan necessarily, because this plan assumes that this whole area is undisturbed.
I'm sorry, I'm not really following you on that one.
Understood.
Yeah.
So even though this plan doesn't show plantings here in the area that I'm circling within the wetland itself, I suspect that if the agency does uphold the order and if they are reviewing a corrective action permit, as is discussed in the order, they will want to see a planting plan for all of the disturbed areas between the boulder row and the river. So all the areas that are lawn now, they'll want to see some sort of plan that increases the diversity of the landscape in that area.
So from the Boulder Road to the river, some kind of landscape that's going to facilitate like a natural bringing it back to, I mean, it's hard to say because there's no pictures. I have nothing other than the 2 weeks before I bought it, which you saw is bare. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, like how to correct this, what I'm supposed to do. And going forward, if like this was supposed to be maintained, if something died, you're supposed to go and replace it?
Going forward, yes, it was intended to be kind of a natural, unmaintained kind of a plant it and get those plants established, and then let it be a non-maintained, non-manicured landscape. I think Commissioner Bennett.
Go ahead, Paul, sorry.
Okay. Just two suggestions for Ms. Rowley. Because you say you don't have pictures of what it was before. If you look at your neighbors' backyards along the river, like in one of the photographs across the river from yours, it showed a fairly natural wild landscape. Another suggestion is, because you're not sure of what to do, and I can understand that because nobody's ever told you have to rebuild the wetlands. You can go back in the archives for these meetings and the public hearings and see what other people have done or had to face or had to deal with, and how to do the restoration. And Alexis is very good. She'll meet with you in her office and pretty much guide you through this whole thing. So don't worry too much right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of like at a loss. You say like neighbors, but I did kind of like, my neighbor does have a lawn. The guy directly next to me has lawn. There's very few of the trees at the boulder line, maybe 4. And then I think he has maybe 3 in the middle. And that's where I guess I was a little bit confused over, because there is, it's not a natural barrier. I don't see, like, his area is more maintained by him. They just did like an area. I know they got, I guess you had come down, somebody came down to approve it. But then there's extra rocks where I also see, like at the river, like he has like a hill, which I knew that probably is not allowed, and there is been dirt brought in. So are there violations, like, am I the only one that gets violations? Is everybody held up for this? Or, like, I'm just wondering, I have no problem putting it back if that's how you say. I had no idea really that what was there before. I really didn't pay much attention to, I guess I should have, reading these site plans. I had no idea when I came down last week. I was like, what?
Unfortunately, this is a pretty common
discussed-
situation. Sorry, go ahead, Alexis.
No, I was just going to say that, I know that that's frequently a question, right? That's a natural reaction is, why just me? And we anticipate that, and we are actively looking at all of four property owners along the river off of River Walk Lane. I think I had mentioned that we were on the property at number 10, and their wall is still there. Their shrubs are still there. When this house was built, there was this little kind of patio thing that was there, and it was allowed to stay. We did talk to them about how they seem to be potentially maybe mowing around the shrubs a little too much, and told them that that needs to stop. And likewise with this other property next to you, they also have a boulder wall. They have these, a little bit of I'd call it a park-like environment where they have maintained, it looks like all the trees and shrubs are still there, but they're also kind of doing this mowing in between. So we'll be sending them a letter reminding them of the conditions of their permit. And then number 7, actually, that was one of the first houses built. They have a very small strip, and they are in full compliance. So that is something that we definitely look at. Likewise, we're looking at the development across the street, and pursuing. You had noted that they're blowing leaves, and it's one of the harder things to regulate. Because that is transient by nature. Unfortunately, the very manicuredness of your very nice yard is really what kind of piqued our interest, and then the review of the requirements.
Okay. No, it's actually the first house, number 10, that you're talking about, because the boulders that they put in, there's extra boulders that where he has, I guess, put some dirt, like to make a hill right off the river, and right behind that patio that you're talking about, they added more boulders there.
Ms. Rowley, I think just for the sake of keeping the conversation going and on topic, I think we're all on the same page about what's going on here. Ms. Knight,
I just need direction from somebody there on, like, I mean, I could go by the plans, and I'd be happy to come down, Alexis, and talk to you. And like you said, go back through and see what is supposed to be done.
If you wanted to go, I think that's definitely an option. If you wanted to go the distance and engage a landscape architect, that would also be another way to go, but obviously there's costs associated with that. Ms. Knight?
Yeah, hi. I just on number 10, I think Alexis, to the extent that somebody's saying like some flagging that somebody potentially maybe filled in around the wetland area, if that's a wetland area, you could.
We'll be going out there again. So they recently got a declaratory ruling to add a property line demarcation. So they had requested to do 4x4s along the upper part of their property line, down their northern property line boundary. And they wanted to extend that to the river, and they were allowed to place spaced boulders along the property line as a demarcation. But we will check to confirm that they haven't, it sounds like they may have done additional work that they haven't. So yeah, we'll go out there.
Very good.
So going back to this order.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, sorry, I think that there's like kind of 3 zones to like look at. One is like the wetland, like we'd want to look at the wetland being restored back to wetland. And what the planting plan would look like for wetland restoration. And then there's kind of the buffer area, and then there's the shrub area just kind of below the wall that was more articulated in the planting plan. But you know, that just undisturbed area that was natural. And obviously we'd like to see the canopy restored.
Thanks, Catherine. So Alexis, do you need us to vote on this?
Yes, and so I was
Enforcement?
gonna say that the if you would, and so the order, I just wanted to review it, it would cite the activities that noted, and then it would direct the property owner to submit a corrective action permit on or before Tuesday, May 13th, and then to complete that work once a permit is in hand. So just wanted to give you a heads up on the deadline for submission.
So, okay, go ahead, Diana, sorry.
That's okay. May 13th for a plan to be submitted.
Yeah, that's if the agency upholds it. Yep. And I send you a new letter again. That's what we do here. All the letters.
Is that,
Good.
Diana, do you think you think that's a reasonable time frame? A month
A month to get a plan.
back to us,
Submitted.
something, you know?
I'm kind of hoping I can go according to the like what I had, like the site plan here. I mean, is that reasonable?
I think it all depends, but I think it's a good start.
Yep.
And just
And
give
we
us as
can
much
talk-
information as you can, and Alexis will help you through that. I highly
Yeah.
suggest leaning on Alexis. And she'll get you pointed in the right direction.
As I noted when we met, if in the event that the agency does uphold it, you're going to need to submit an application. I'd encourage you to, I can pull some old files and I can show you files that corrective action applications that have been successful and other ones that have not, and try to guide you towards success.
Awesome. And on that note, I'm going to move to uphold the enforcement order for V25-1080 as written. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, is for
I don't-
somebody as a novice, do you feel like May 13th is going to be enough time for me to figure this all out?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Alexis is going to help you a bunch.
It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, it's not the key is to get the information on there in a way that is easy to enact and easy to enforce. So
can I ask one more question? So going forward, when things are ripped out by the stream and everything, and this is a constant problem, like what happens? Like, because I mean, I could do all the work and it's going to be
it gets washed out. Yeah.
And then it's gone, just like you saw the pictures. It looks like a drought took everything.
Well, Paul, do you want to?
Well,
So
yeah,
what
what-
happens then?
Okay, Alexis will walk you through some of that
Yeah.
part too, because, you know, what occurs naturally is one thing, but, you know, when you put the plantings in, there's going to be a time period where you're going to have to maintain it. In the meantime, I just wanted to make sure that you're not fertilizing or putting any pesticides down on that lawn, which would go into the river.
No.
And-
Seed, just seed.
Okay, stop seeding it.
Well, I mean,
And-
it's, yeah, she's gonna,
Yeah, and don't be running out to like Home Depot and buying non-native plants to plant there. Work with Alexis, she'll guide you through this. It's not as big of a deal as you think it is. The violation to us is a big deal because of the waterway and wetlands, which we're trying to protect, but the restoration's not going to be that difficult.
So you're
And-
considering this still a violation, being that it didn't, I mean, like, it probably happened naturally, I would assume. I can't answer for that, but
based on, it's not, well, we voted on it, so at this point, it doesn't matter. Yes is the answer, because that's how the commission voted. And it's not a violation in a way that is a, judgment by any means. All it is just on paper, it is a, organized body of people who are trying to uphold a statute that the city of Norwalk is required to, enforce, or whatever the right word is. So don't think of a violation as in a, it's not a matter of judgment. It is though technically a problem with regard to what was approved for that site. Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay.
But other than being a violation, other than fixing it and working with Alexis, is there anything else along with that?
No, I mean,
Not
there's the
really.
application
I'll go
process.
over, yeah, I can
Yeah.
go over all of that when we figure out a time to meet, either later this week or next week. And I can kind of give you all the potential scenarios moving forward. Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
done it a
Heads
million
up on
times. You're in good
everything.
hands. We can't get anybody to say anything bad about her, no matter how much we try. Okay, thank you, Ms. Rowley. If you don't have any more questions, we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Steve, I have to drop 7:01. I will see you guys next time.
Thanks for joining, Matt.
Yep, thank
Nice
you.
to see you.
See ya.
Appreciate it.
Okay, then, just for the record, Commissioner Breslin, we don't see you, and I don't know if I heard you. So Alexis, did you count that as a unanimous vote?
I did.
I did say,
Yeah.
I
You
did,
did.
I did vote. I
Okay.
don't know why you don't see me.
You'd think I'd recognize your voice, but I didn't pull it
You
out of
just
the.
hear too much of it. It's like background noise.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, that was a unanimous vote, just for the record. All right, moving on. To bond release or reduction request for S15 -463, 78 Cranberry Road.
78 Cranberry Road is the White Barns Conservation Development that was approved back in 2015, and they are seeking a release of their bond. So they have two bonds. $23,755 of the bond was committed to the implementation of the planting plan and monitoring of that planting plan. And then 15,100 was for everything else, in particular sedimentation, erosion control. So this is the property here. They do not have any issues with sedimentation and erosion control. I absolutely recommend that that 15,100 portion be released. The site is stable and vegetated. The inspectors recently did a inspection again. Obviously, we've been out to this site many times during the years as it's developed. There are a series of, if you recall, there are kind of wetlands everywhere. There aren't homes, and the approval included a lot of pockets of planting. This time of year in late March is when they went out. It is nothing has leafed out yet. It's a little bit hard to assess plant vitality. So there are certainly, I would say that the majority of plants required by the permit are alive. There may be pockets that are not. In particular, there's kind of an area over here where the applicant, I know that they've replanted, and I still don't know if there is success in this area. So I guess I would, for now, recommend releasing all the S&E controls. And you could certainly consider releasing, you know, a significant portion of the planting bond amount, but I can't. Usually I kind of say that, yes, you have a, an 80% success rate or 75% or 90%. And I really don't have a good feel for how much of a percent we're talking about. I do think it is more than 75%. But it's just a little hard to assess at this time of year.
Okay. Does anybody have thoughts or feelings on that?
Sorry, how much was the bond again?
So it's 23,755 were for the plants. And then $15,100 were for the S&E controls, and a few other things, like they had potential turtles that they had to monitor, and it covered a few other things that were specific to the permit.
Is it reasonable to release 75% of the planting bond? Do we do that?
Hmm.
We can do it.
Absolutely, if that's
Okay. So that's just to keep things moving. That's what I will move, to release all of the S&E controls bond of $15,100 and 75% of the planting bond of $23,755. Can I have a second?
Second that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Catherine got it. Any discussion?
Just one question. It's only going to be a matter of probably another month or 2 months at the most before you can do an assessment again, right?
And it's not a heavy lift, right? I mean, all they have to do is call you up and say, hey, come take a look. You go take a look, and
yeah. So
everything's
the Able Construction was the permittee, and they posted the bond. One wrinkle in this always is that they no longer, I don't believe they elements anymore. So with the conservation development, the homes that you see are basically separate condo units, and the individual homes is sitting on a commonly owned land. And I believe that Able sold kind of everything when they finished the last house. It went into the possession of a HOA.
So the HOA gets the money. It's not split up 20 different ways.
No, I think Able Construction gets the money. I don't think that Able
Oh.
switched. What I recommend is anyone that is selling a property that has a bond on it, that with the sale of that property, you transfer the rights to the bond, but that didn't happen here. So,
Okay.
I'll have to talk to both Able, if there is an issue. I'll talk to both Able Construction and the HOA and have them talk to each other to hopefully get it with, resolved.
Wowzers. Okay, well, hopefully we didn't add a layer of complication. Well, we haven't approved this
All
yet,
good.
though. So any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. You can't
Yay.
see me.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great. So that's unanimous. Thanks, Alexis.
Yes.
Moving on to acceptance of meeting minutes. Anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Awesome.
I'll second it.
Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Don't think we need any discussion for that. Conservation initiatives, Earth Day.
Yes, Earth
Very good.
Day, the festival on the 26th. So a few updates.
Uh-oh.
I had said that I'd be there, but I have a senior in high school who has an award ceremony that day. that I would really like to go to. So I think I may be bailing. However, as you know, the Conservation Office is really kind of a part of the Planning and Zoning Office. And the Planning and Zoning Office this year will also have a table. And it will be covered by multiple staff. So I can prepare any materials, and I will work on procuring chairs and tables, Heather. But yeah, if any of you have any interest in manning for even a short period of time, or any ideas about what you would like to display. I did look into whether we could get power. That did not sound like it was going to be feasible, because I think Steve, you had brought up like maybe we could do a GIS app
Mhm.
that had some technical difficulties that I don't think I can overcome.
Where can people search? They can't really, right? This has always been the answer that's confused me.
Yeah, so we are in the background, Miss Amelia Williams, who frequents your
Yes.
meetings sometimes. She and I are digitizing so we use GIS to make
Yep.
our wetland planning map, right?
Yep.
And so we have all the flagged wetlands, anywhere someone has hired a soil scientist to delineate wetlands, we have that information, and we're pretty good at updating our GIS layers right away. And then we have our so that's easy, that's clear. Then we have our estimated wetland blobs that are from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. That's kind of less clear because those blobs go through, where there are now homes. And then where the real issue is that it's for planning purposes only, and it doesn't show, and it can't ever show all wetlands and watercourses. So we have a big disclaimer saying, even though this map doesn't show wetlands on your property, you may have them. At the end of the day, it's based on the actual character of the land. And so we have been going around and making an additional layer of wetlands that have been observed. So after 2 decades of doing this, I kind of have a good idea of where all the wetland areas are, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm it's taking more time than I thought it would, but I'm basically making a layer of areas where, in my professional judgment, it looks wetlandish, so that we have a more complete kind of depiction without relying on that disclaimer that just because it's not here. And we would make an online GIS map so that you could type in your address, it would go right to your address, and then it would let you know detailed information. And we may have that, but I would certainly hope by the end of the year. So it's definitely been something that is.
I was just trying to
priority.
think of some marketing.
But it's not going to be ready by August.
Yeah, no,
April
that's fine. I was
26th.
just trying to think of, as a marketing person, like what is the draw here to get people to do, like what's their action item here that would bring them over?
I mean, maybe even just a display about wetland plants. I do think that a lot of people have an idea of what maybe just a discussion regarding a shift in kind of the what a natural wetland might look like, or what a buffer might look like. We do make a list of kind of aesthetically pleasing wetland shrubs that are native, because obviously there are a lot of people out there, right, that have kind of a aesthetic in mind for their yard, and they want it to look nice, which is completely reasonable. But the Wetland Agency, you want a natural native vegetated buffer. And so trying to figure out, well, where do those two things intersect? Where are there native plants that have wildlife value and wetland value? And, but also have some aesthetically pleasing attributes. So maybe, I don't know, something.
People giving out free plants last year really were popular, but
Yeah.
like in a way to, well, I think it's probably good for two things. Like, number one is while we work on outlining what all of the wetlands are, so we can have a database, etc. Just some ways you can tell. I mean, there's no way to definitively tell without a soil. Like, I understand that, but there are plants that are sort of, native to wetlands, and these are sort of like skunk cabbage, right? That's an easy one for people, I think, to spot. Or maybe it's like understanding our plans, understanding what to look out for. Like, if you see these things, probably don't touch it for sure. Call, I don't know.
Right.
Just spitball in here, but
Or like when I go out to properties, people often talk about the erosion around their trees because they see the root flare, right? And they see if you're really in a wetland, you've got roots coming up, especially if you're maintaining your wetland as lawn. Maybe just understanding, like I bring up the bald cypress, like the cypress knobs in the southern swamps. A lot of people understand those. And just explain that the roots at the surface are because the plants are just trying to breathe some air because the
Right.
groundwater is coming up to the surface. I know that's personally one of the things that I repeat a lot. And people are always like, I didn't know. I thought it was always eroding off of the roots and exposing the roots.
I don't know about that either.
I didn't know about that.
Maybe we need what's in Alexis's head, like common FAQs
Okay.
from
That.
I think that might be it. Like, common FAQs answered. This is what you get for, going to your award ceremony. And no, I'm just kidding. I like how you said though, like, but the planning and zoning, they're gonna have a table. So you're not, I'm willing to volunteer, but I just don't think I am the most well-versed to be doing it by myself. And it's not like, I'm happy to do it. If I'm the only one who can do it, I will do it.
I am softly pressuring Miss Williams to get some overtime and go on that Saturday. And I'm still working on that.
I mean, I can entertain people. I just don't know how great of a reflection on our inland. No, I just don't, I don't know the ins and outs. My answer will be, you should email this email address. Like,
but that's fine. I mean, that itself has value, because then if you can catch one person who probably does have a wetland from, ripping it out to do a lawn because they emailed, that's great.
Yeah, I think an FAQ would be great. I also think some sort of takeaway of like, I promise I won't go rip up anything in wetlands to bring it to show, but I do think, well, I can't promise that, because I do think it is nice to have like a little show and tell of what people are looking for, or just pictures, right?
Yeah.
And I think also, some native, maybe we could take a takeaway that's like native species, native wetland species that are prettier.
Okay, I will. So I'll send this as a reply. I'll list the FAQs. I'll add the answers to the FAQs, and then I'll scour for photos of what I'm talking about, and then.
You don't even have to do that. You don't go crazy. I can do some stuff and I can make things. I just can't be you.
Yes, that's wonderful. If you can make stuff make it all look pretty, that would be wonderful.
I sure can try.
He's
And
good
then
at that.
I can
Your
print out
guide
our,
to native plantings is really nice. Like maybe just have one of
Yep.
those on the table that you can refer to because it's really good.
yeah, I can make a QR code that, so we, on the conservation web page, we have the Connecticut's guide to native plants, which is excellent.
Oh, I have that up on my, that's saved
And
on my
then
phone.
there, we also have the, my computer loads, it's so slow. Share, but we could do a series of QR codes.
I think the QR codes would be good.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's, I can send some photos and
Yeah,
then.
your Norwalk Guide to Native Plant, that's really nice.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is kind of too big for us to, I mean, we could print it out, but we can point people to this. It's really
Yeah.
kind of a book and it
Yep.
has the whys, it has shrubs and photos.
You know what, this
Um,
is good. I could probably make a collage out of
Yeah.
these with some names on it and stuff like that.
And then this is the one that we give to everybody, because it's a little bit more condensed. But we could have a QR code to it. It kind of covers more a variety of plants.
Ooh, maybe I'll bring some cuttings that people can
And
take.
then, yeah, I can definitely get some cuttings to you.
I have a Juneberry, Serviceberry, whatever you want to call it, the 95,000 different names out in my front
Mhm.
shrubbery. Henry Thomas is his name. I planted him. He's been growing very well for 4 years now. And so I can do some cuttings of that. And then but I mean, I'm good with plants. I
Okay.
can do that. Should do it soon, probably, like now.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you to you both.
You're welcome. You're going to come along and help, aren't you?
I'm gonna be in the Berkshires that weekend.
All right, well,
Heather, I'll come help.
Yes.
I'll come help you. What time is it?
thank you, Paul.
Well, I'm only going to help you a little bit because I'm just going to tell people Google it when they ask a question.
Yeah, right.
But
That's fine. I will send out the flyer. My recollection is it's from 10 to 3.
Yeah, something like
10
that.
to 3? Okay.
As long as I have a home. If I have a table, that would be great. Just, I really would like to avoid the sandwich board vibe that I was giving off last.
Understood. Yes, it is from 10 to 3. On the park, on Green. Just off of East Avenue.
Yep, know exactly where it is.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks to all three of you.
Excellent.
We'll move on unless, well, I mean, Commission Chair, I don't have anything. Senior Environmental Officer. Is there anything else you'd like to,
Not quite.
not at the moment? Okay. Well, on that note, then I will move to adjourn the meeting. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Yeah, I'll third
in
it
favor?
before I sign up for anything else.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Sorry about the camera. My computer hates anything that's not Teams, and it also hates Teams, so.
All good.
Night,
all right, well,
everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.